Hey folks, it's Cameron from the Brushfire Mind, and this is coffee. If you check out the link down below in the description, you can find ways to support us by buying us more coffee. Okay, thanks.
Well, a bunch of scientists got everything wrong repeatedly, despite their research being peer-reviewed by other scientists who looked at the science which they got wrong and said, "This is fine," and published it.
Let's go to the meme. We're going to talk about how the CDC finally admitted to what we all knew, and in that spirit, when the CDC tells me stuff, tells me I can do stuff I never stopped doing to begin with. Yeah, because I never really stopped doing it. In fact, in the beginning, I tried to be a good little sheeple. I was working commercial pest control at the time. And let me tell you, outdoors in July in Georgia, doing pest control, wearing an N95 mask, climbing steps and walking warehouses that have, like 1 million square feet, 1.5 million
sleeves,
in long sleeves, and long pants,
wearing a weighted
gloves,
backpack.
Weighted backpack. Yeah, that slight retardation of your. Can we just have the camera go back to normal now, please?
That all sucked in Afghanistan. Let alone, over there I can do $1.30, but there's no humidity. That's a surprisingly important distinction.
Yes. And then it turns out, of course, well, there's stuff with the CDC. And at this point, here's the deal. Now that the director of the CDC has said, gosh, we fucked all that up, how much of that stuff are we now allowed to talk about? Like Crowder and them.
Apparently not much.
Well, look, and Crowder and them.
By the way, we'll be doing Firearms Friday on Rumble tomorrow. Just in case.
Crowder and them, they're really good as a measuring stick, and there's a reason why I mentioned Crowder, by the way. Crowder and them are a good measuring stick, and they've made the joke about how, gosh, it's almost like it's not even really a vaccine, huh? Yeah.
In fact, we got thrown off of YouTube.
That's going to be our transition. Don't spoil our transition.
Okay.
We've got the CDC thing. So, just to tee it up while Chris brings up some articles and we chew into this, long story short, the director of the CDC yesterday, not just some nobody, but the director of the venerated CDC said, gosh, in fact, I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit, but she said, this was our moment of truth. This is the type of thing that the CDC exists for, and we got almost everything wrong, and we got the things wrong for the wrong reasons. Like it was scathing. It was accurate, and and for guys like us,
suggest we use code words like
amphibious priapism. Yes, we'll get there. We'll have to get there because there's no other way to tell you why Crowder got suspended from YouTube again. Though Carrie Lake just became so, even with that short haircut, she just became so much sexier. She got Crowder thrown off YouTube, but again, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Crowder thrown. Ladies, so getting Crowder banned from YouTube for a week or two is the same alpha move that makes you sexy as wearing a gun.
Yeah, like seriously, wear a gun, get Crowder banned off YouTube, and bake something.
And
you will have no shortage of suitors. But
yeah, we need a magazine that has cover art just for you.
I would subscribe to that. It'd be like, call it like conservative boudoir. That would be just girls standing in kitchen, guns on hips, t-shirts, panties. And it could even be like granny panties, right? Because, they ain't got time for all that while they're raising your babies. But they're baking something, and you're just like, I want that in my life.
I can actually smell my wife's eyes rolling from here.
Ew. Okay. Anyhow, the CDC. Let's.
It's the stink eye.
No, I got it. Let's.
Okay.
CDC. We're running behind. CDC.
So it's up.
Take your turn.
CDC
Talk.
under fire lays out plan to become.
God damn it, Chris! Why do you need encouragement to talk? Since when?
Fine. You've just been cut out of the episode. CDC under fire lays out plan to become more nimble and accountable. Walensky vows changes to ensure faster release of data and practical, easy-to-understand guidance. So I want to be clear as we're getting into this. She is coming out and saying we got it wrong, and here's how we're going to get it wronger. I cannot believe that I am about to be forced by these inadequate sociopaths to offer up a defense of the corrupt and barbaric institution known as the peer review process, but that is part of the criticism that this requires. The nation's top public health official committed Wednesday to overhaul the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, promising faster release of scientific findings and easier to understand guidance, part of a long-awaited revamp of CDC culture after withering criticism of its response to the coronavirus and monkeypox crises. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky told senior leaders and agency employees that she had embraced several recommendations from an internal review that called for a more nimble and better trained workforce and changing the culture to reward action over publication, among other things.
Wait, you mean substance over style? Okay, I think you can fix the camera back now. Please. Thank you. It's good enough for the Hodge twins, man.
But there's two of us.
I can't even repeat that joke.
For 75 years, CDC and public health have been preparing for COVID-19. And in our big moment, our performance did not reliably meet expectations.
You think?
Yeah, wow.
In other words,
that is the understatement of the decade right there.
Is wet.
My goal is a new public health action-oriented culture at CDC that emphasizes accountability, collaboration, communication, and timelessness. Accountability. Okay.
But nobody's going to get fired.
List for me. Damn it, man. Has anybody been fired?
They're going to get moved to new departments.
No, I mean, Cuomo was sex scandaled out of office after he murdered thousands of New York's elderly. But Gretchen Whitmer hasn't gone anywhere.
And she's a woman.
Yeah. And
she
women,
had the FBI guarantee that she would get reelected on sympathy points.
And women never murder elderly people out of
compassion?
Misplaced sense of compassion. Nurse Ratched. Walensky appointed Mary Wakefield, a former deputy health secretary in the Obama administration. You're already fucking it up. The recommendations were shared on Wednesday morning. First, senior staff and then across Atlanta-based agency, which employs about 13,000 people, according to the senior CDC official who provided details, but was not authorized to speak on the record. Oh, really? Okay, I'm going to skip past. I'm going to skip past this one for a minute. There is another one that got into. Damn it! I read so many articles on this morning. I forgot where this particular key criticism was that I wanted to address.
I love the byline here. Monkey cock. Wow, that was a Freudian slip. You know what? From now on, I'm no longer calling it monkeypox. I'm calling it monkey cocks. It's more accurate anyway. So monkey cocks cases are rising. What's being done to stop it? Hey, I've got an idea. Don't do gay orgies. You probably won't get monkeypox if you don't do gay orgies. But they can't see the screen. So
no, they can't on purpose because I'm looking at several articles real quick. I'm trying to find the okay. So
Patrick says flub verbal. So you kidding? I just created a new spell.
It was a total effect. I read in one of them. Part of what they're doing is part of this revamp is to bypass the peer review process in order to get information out more quickly.
Wait a minute. Okay. You mean like guys like with YouTube channels that... No, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry. It's too easy.
Here's what happened. Well, a bunch of scientists got everything wrong repeatedly, despite despite their research being peer-reviewed by other scientists who looked at the science which they got wrong and said, this is fine, and published it. And your solution is to go back to the scientists that failed to begin with and remove the failure mitigating circumstances that existed. Now, there definitely needs to be an overhaul of the peer review process. Remember the woke article scandal, the three doctors that wrote all those
and
articles.
Like one of them took Nazi propaganda, took the word white out, and replaced it with POC, and then it got approved.
No, specifically what they did is they took a chapter of Mein Kampf and replaced the word Jew with white man, and literally verbatim, except for that one replacement.
Yeah, so
and the peer-reviewed journals published it. They did another one on rape culture in dog parks. Published. Peer-reviewed and published.
Well,
right?
Crowder even got that thing where he pretended to be a trans woman, and like not only did they jump him to the front of the line, they gave him a speaking spot at their convention.
And invited him back and invited him out for extra interviews and contacted him and asked him to come out and join peer review panels on the subject matter of the topic that he lied about being an expert on. So there's clearly no vetting process there. Now, it's possible. It's possible, although we're talking about academia to a degree here, so I find it dubious to claim that they have a stricter and more rigorous standard of peer review regarding things like scientific findings that are going to be used by government agencies. But that's true of a country that is still trying to fundraise off of the idea that taxpayers should fund abortions and genital mutilation for children on demand.
You guys were there for the Beholder?
What?
Man. Yeah, it's a long story, but they're talking about a very specific thing that happened at a LARP in the chat, and I don't remember them there, so it just...
yeah, I remember that Beholder.
I must have smoked a lot of weed in those days, because I don't remember. I remember the Beholder.
I was the central destructive eye of the Beholder.
Wow, okay. Hey, you know what, though?
I nuked Frog.
Okay, well...
It was a great day.
Yes. Anyhow, this was peer-reviewed. Remember when that group of doctors got together and actually put out YouTube videos and said, well, hold on now, maybe this pandemic thing, maybe we're taking it in the wrong direction. And they got yeeted off YouTube because they weren't following the message.
Yeah, they came out and said, okay, look, we have some problems here. You've yeed your last haul, boy!
R.I.P. headphone users, like, good grief. But yeah, so... And here's the thing. It's not just the peer review process itself. It's the fact that guys like us would... it's the fact that guys like us, run YouTube channels or podcasts or whatever, and we just look at the data that's available, and then, we just ask questions or make suggestions. Like we joked before how humorous it was that we were ahead of the curve, even on the things that we got wrong, that the official narrative got wrong, and everything in between. Like, remember in the beginning when we were like, well, maybe we should just wear masks. Oh, no, don't wear masks, you stupid rubes. Where have you done your research? Where do you have your biology degree from? Oh, okay. All right, cool. Whatever. And then by the time we were like, yeah, no, masks are stupid. That's around the time they were like, oh, everybody needs to mask up. Yep. And it's like, now, hold on. 3 months ago, when we were asking the question on our stupid little YouTube channel about wearing masks, we were uneducated rubes.
And suggesting, hey, this sounds like a reasonable precaution until we know more. And, of course, the thing that we knew more once we knew more was, oh, yeah, viruses are tiny. Little bitty things. Back then, my wife even made me a bunch of masks that match my lovely Hawaiian shirts. I still have them. And I don't wear masks. If I have to go into a place, like if I have no choice but to enter a place that requires me to wear a mask, I require that they provide it. Otherwise, we're having a problem.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, I'll just say it, if you are still voluntarily wearing a mask, God, I'm deducting like 15 points off your IQ automatically. Chris and I had an encounter. We were searching for a movie prop, and it was one of the most awkward things because I could like read his mind, and he could read my mind. I'm going to tell you all the story, and I'm going to bet y'all are going to know exactly where we started reading each other's mind. So we're shopping at a movie prop, and we're hitting like places like Goodwill because you're shocked at what you can find that's basically junk. But with a little paint on it, looks amazing on screen.
Especially when you're going to break it down for parts and then build something new out of it.
Right. So anyhow, we're checking out, and the polite girl at the counter was ringing us up, and just being conversational. I'm like, oh man, that sucks. They're still making you wear that mask. And she goes, and I mean, from what of her face we could see, she appeared to be dead ass serious. Says, oh no, it's all by choice. And suddenly, like, Chris and I were both like, don't talk.
Like, wow, I know way too many things about you now.
Don't talk. Don't just. But it's funny because I think, okay, CDC finally comes out and tells the truth. Like, obviously, if we had more time, we could get deeper into it.
Whoa. We said they admitted to screwing up.
Which is true.
We didn't say that's true. That's true.
That's true. I mean, a broken clock
it's not
is
like
right
they
twice
came
a day.
But there's an important distinction here because she didn't detail how they failed. She didn't admit that X, Y, and Z were the things that we got wrong. She said that we missed the target and we're going to try to do better in the future. And that's a big problem because there are currently and were previously specific recommendations which were made in clear error, which caused dramatic harm to include loss of life and near collapse of the economy, right? The CDC's failures are a contributing factor to Joe Biden's off-the-rails bad economy, but she did not detail where the mistakes were made, which means that we cannot point to the specific errors that she's talking about and offer recommendations as part of our criticisms. We can point to the things which we know to have been an error and have discussion and speculation about those, but she's missing some stuff.
So, okay. I would disagree somewhat.
Wait, babe, check. I started a new pot of coffee. I may have forgot to hit the button.
So, I would disagree somewhat. She did actually identify a problem. She just used really pretty flowery language to just sail right past it. And she talked about, being beholden to basically the appearance, okay? Like, and peer review, and it has to look a certain way. And I forget her exact language, but it was, being worried about publication.
Right.
Right? So she actually pretty accurately identified a large part of the problem. She didn't go into the potential political motivations and the political motivations and the social ramifications. She didn't go into any of that. But she did identify that, they were worried about optics during a pandemic instead of worrying about a pandemic in a pandemic, right? Like, if you have cancer, chemotherapy sucks a lot, but dying of cancer sucks at least slightly more. So chemotherapy is a good option, but you don't need to be lied to. Like, chemotherapy, they're literally going to dose your body with toxic poison. And it's going to weaken everything in your body. And the theory is they'll do enough damage to your body where they can just strip those cancer cells right out. And it's terrible. But it is medicine. It is how medicine is practiced. So if the CDC wants to give us bad news, and they want to give us accurate information, they might have to be willing to upset us. And the only thing they seem to be willing to upset us over is, oh, well, you have to wear a mask, and if you're a landlord, fuck you for getting rent, right? Like,
right. Well, technical problems this morning, places to go, things to do, people to shoot, shooting houses. Houses.
So
I'm just going to shoot the houses. But we're 5 minutes long. We need to go ahead and wrap it up.
All right. Well, then we're not going to go into detail about the Crowder thing. Crowder got burned for something that he didn't even say, something that Kari Lake said. And I just want to end on this point. And we wanted to try and tie these two things together before we had the technical details. We've actually gotten banned. We were restricted from live streaming for a week over actually talking about things that the CDC is now kind of admitting have been true this entire time. And specifically, I asked questions about the nature of the new medical technology that was being used to generate the greatest vaccine that's ever existed.
Yeah,
and
we asked the question, just the linguistic question.
I don't want to ask it. I don't want to ask it. I don't want to ask it. Anyhow.
No, I want to test some boundaries with this now. But anyhow, we asked that specific question.
Yeah, we asked a question. Look, cast no aspersions on the greatest vaccine of all time, even still recommended at that point in time. If you're in a high-risk category, you need to go get that vaccine, okay? And we still got whacked. And it's funny. Every time people get whacked for this kind of shit, the thing that they get whacked for has a tendency to be proven true later.
Get completely vindicated.
So it
by
just
the science. Science!
So it just makes me wonder if YouTube is willing to whack Crowder over Arizona's likely future governor making comments about amphibious priapism. How likely is it that those comments are actually correct?